Namaste and welcome back to our journey of mindful living. Last Tuesday, I shared how Ayurveda completely changed the way I looked at Dahi. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend watching it first because today's video builds on those concepts. Today, let's answer the practical questions. When should we eat Dahi? When should we avoid it? And what simple Ayurvedic principles influenced the way I included it in my own lifestyle? As always, I'm sharing what I learnt over the years and how it became part of my own journey. Before I continue, you might wonder, why am I spending so much time on Dahi when there are so many foods and herbs to explore? The reason is simple. Dahi is something most Indian households consume every single day, often without questioning when, how, or whether it actually suits them. That is exactly why Ayurveda's perspective on it is so valuable. Starting with the familiar is the best way to understand deeper principles. Once you understand how Ayurveda looks at Dahi, the timing, the body type, the season, you begin to apply that same awareness to everything else on your plate. That is what mindful eating truly means to me. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that Ayurveda generally advises against eating Dahi at night. Why? Because according to Ayurveda, Dahi is heavy to digest and tends to increase kapha. At night, our digestion naturally becomes slower. That's why Ayurveda traditionally recommends being cautious with Dahi after sunset, especially if you're someone who frequently experiences cough, cold, sinus congestion, or excess mucus. This was one of the changes I made in my own lifestyle. The second lesson was about quantity. Ayurveda doesn't encourage us to eat large bowls of Dahi every single day just because it's considered healthy. Instead, it teaches moderation. It teaches us to observe our body. Some people digest Dahi beautifully. Others may experience heaviness, bloating, or increased mucus. The goal isn't to copy someone else's diet. The goal is to understand your own body. I also learned that Ayurveda gives importance to how Dahi is prepared. Fresh homemade Dahi is generally preferred over Dahi that has become very sour. As Dahi ferments further, its qualities change. That's why I personally preferred fresh homemade Dahi whenever I included it in my routine. It wasn't about perfection. It was about making small, mindful choices. Perhaps the biggest lesson wasn't actually about Dahi. It was about awareness. Ayurveda taught me that food isn't simply healthy or unhealthy. The same food can nourish one person and may not suit another. That depends on your prakriti, your digestion, the season, and your overall lifestyle. Once I understood that, I stopped blindly following food trends and started paying attention to what my own body was telling me. That mindset has stayed with me ever since. In the next video, we'll explore something even more practical, the difference between Dahi and buttermilk, and why Ayurveda often gives them very different places in our diet. That's what mindful eating became for me, not a diet, but a way of living. A way to stay healthy, positive, and independent throughout my life, with a healthy body and a positive mind. I'll see you next Tuesday. Namaste.